you got a lot of people that count on you, right? You might have employees, you might have supervisees, you might have business owners that count on you to show up exactly as you do because you are a magical unicorn of any kind of variety, right? And you've done all the things and you're so successful and high achieving, and yet that weight of the responsibility that you feel is actually anchoring you in place. Can you feel that? And if that's you and you know that you're actually supposed to be doing something else and you just haven't found it within you yet to make that big lane change, then hi, my name is Jen, the founder and owner of Laughing Lotus Wellness, transformational purpose coach and expert. And what I do is work with really high achieving, brilliantly successful women who need clarity around their purpose so that they can create a lane change for themselves in their lives and their journeys in purpose and on purpose in order to create the impact that they want to leave in the world. And so what I do with them is the first thing we do out the gate is get you super clear about what actually is your purpose and how are you living into it? Where do you want to go and how are we going to make that happen? So I love helping women feel empowered to step into those gifts and tools and all the things they've been gifted in this life to really step into that purpose and create lasting legacy and impact, because that's what's on my heart. And so today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things ever, right, is really confronting fear. And when I worked with over 15,000 people in my clinical practice in social work and providing psychotherapy for over 20 years, we talked about fear all the time, right? Different forms of it, anxiety, all the way to something that's much more significant that might be phobias, whatever it might be. But today what we're going to talk about is wildly letting go of your fear. This month we're talking about willing that inner lawlessness to drive you, right? To let it kind of guide you, to break out of so many of those rules that we have, the shoulds, our fears, right? The things that show up and really kind of are that one of the bigger blocks to really stepping wildly into the direction that you want to go. One of my very favorite songs, right? Which I just literally, it like lights me on fire, is I Believe by Pitbull. And he uses an acrostic, which is so funny because it took me forever listening to it. Like I listened to it, I don't even know how many times, and I was like, oh my God, he's talking about an acrostic, which is fear. And the first one he talks about is forget everything and run, right? So fear stands for forget everything and run. That's one of the modes that we can really live in, right? That fight or flight. And instead of stepping into a place that we feel called into, it's sometimes so much easier to give in and stay in what we know. There's a comfort in it, even when it's deeply uncomfortable. It can be scarier in the beginning to step outside of that comfort zone and do something new. And so what I really want us to do today, one, you have to go listen to this song for me, okay? Do me a solid. And the second thing is, at the very end of the song, when he's talking about how we step into our spaces, we might lose the battle but win the war. We can show up as our raw, authentic, truest selves. The energy of this song is so about harnessing that energy to step beyond our fear and step into your wild, into that beautiful space you were meant to take up in the world, right? And so at the end, he says, we're going to face everything and rise. So he takes the phrase and in one song takes it from one place and moves it to another. So it's moving from forget everything and run to face everything and rise. And it is wildly encouraging you to step into your own space. And so he talks about winning, right? When I think of winning, I think of abundance. When I think of winning, I think of living into your purpose. I think of you getting rid of all the stuff that's covering you up, the things that you've been carrying around that are ideas and blocks about how you should do your life, and that fear of holding all this responsibility for other people and taking it out and shifting the way that you see that and look at it. Because as long as you are covering up where you really truly feel called to be, you're going to sort of show up in this space of fear. And I just know you have so many things to do and places that you want to up-level your life into, that staying in that fearful space means you're not elevating into the position in this world that you're actually being called into. And so I really want you to try to imagine what it would feel like for you to throw all those ideas out. If I took all that stuff away for just 2 minutes, right? So just for 2 minutes with me, Take out all the responsibilities that you feel. I know they're there. I know they're real. I know they're valid. I want you to just clear them out of your mind for a moment, right? Take the dial of responsibility, turn it all the way down to 0 for just a few minutes. I promise we'll turn it back up, okay? And I want you to listen into what you would need. If you let go of fear, what would you step into? Put it in the comments. If you stepped out of your fear, out of the responsibility idea, the block that you have that's holding you back, what would you step into? How are you shitting on yourself right now that keeps you from listening to that idea that you can face everything and rise? And so I just want you to sit in that for just a moment as you breathe here. What does it feel like to release that sense of that weight of the responsibility and right for other people and your job or your business or a boss or a partner, kids, whatever it might be, and or the expectations of others, right? I can just sit and list for you the responsibility, the expectations. What's it feel like to turn that all the way off and stand in your own light and really listen? How can you face everything and rise? And I want you to just have this experience for a minute, because I really truly believe that when we remove some of those old stories and blocks, more of us can emerge. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to guarantee you've done something scary. I'm sorry. I don't care who's listening to this right now. You've done something scary. We all have. If you've taken risks in your life ever, if you seriously dated or got married or started a business or went to a college across country or ditched college because it wasn't for you and made something out of your life that was incredible, and people were like, what? Like, you really did something scary. Maybe you had a child. There's so many areas in our lives that we step into that are really not assured, and yet we do it. We face everything and rise. We're like, well, this is what it is. I'm buckling up, right? I'm going to go in, I'm going to give it my best, and it's going to be what it's going to be. And yet when it comes to things like purpose, where it comes to things where your soul is talking to you and asking you to do something, you go, I can't, I shouldn't, I can't, but this, but that, my expectation is this. I can hear all of the fears. I know, because this is what people, my women that I work with, this is what they talk about. What happens if I change lanes? I'm really scared about that. Right? I've been here. This is assured. It might be uncomfortable, but it's assured. Right? But they're unhappy. You don't have to live in one camp or the other. Those lanes can coexist. We're just going to need to move you off your mark. And that's going to require you to face everything and rise. So I'm going to allow you to come back. I'm going to allow you to turn your knob up just a little bit, right? Because I know it's there. And I don't want to act like those things are not valid. I'm just going to tell you that you will be surprised by how things show up abundantly for you when you trust. The fear is turning the spigot off. Every time I listen to the fear-based notions about what I want to do or be or how I want to show up in the world, I'm turning off the spigot. Nothing can flow in if I'm afraid it'll be a mess. Okay? Now I can be afraid of the mess and step in anyway and lean in and work on removing those blocks and be successful. It can't happen any other way. So I really want to invite you today to just really step into this idea of you don't have to live in that fearful space. How can you let go of the fear? How can you step into facing everything to rise? I mean, is that not so powerful? And what does that feel like in your body? What does it feel like in your mind? What did it feel like to turn off that responsibility knob? How did it feel like to turn it down? Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. What did it feel like to release some of that for a minute? Right? What did it feel like? What dream did you have hanging out just under the surface, but it's covered by all that stuff, all the BS, all the fear, right? The anxiety, the responsibility, okay? Because you know X thing that you're really looking at that's on your heart is a big deal, right? Okay? How will everything come together? We'll figure it out. What if I said, I've never known someone that couldn't figure it out? In 20 years of providing psychotherapy, I didn't find one person that couldn't figure it out. Some way, somehow, creatively, we worked it out. So if we can work those kinds of things out, that level of distress, trauma, tragedy, like strain, right? Conflict. If we can do that, you're going to tell me we can't help you figure out a way to navigate living more firmly into your purpose. We can, right? We can. So I just want to kind of pop in, throw this idea out there, this whole fear idea. I really want you to go listen to this song, right? I Believe by Pitbull, and take that into account. How do you view fear? What's the relationship you have with fear? Does it dominate every single one of your thoughts? And could you be wild and let your lawlessness dominate in this moment instead? Instead of listening to the fears, the thoughts, the shoulds, the expectations, and all of that, could you turn that down enough to give yourself permission to be wild? Could you do that? Okay, so what I want to do today, if any of this is firing you up and you're like, you know what, Jen, I really could use some support in this area. I know I hear the call. I know I've got something to do. I want to create impact and legacy, and I'm just not sure how to do it. I would definitely appreciate some guidance. I would love to invite you to do a one-on-one call with me. Please reach out to me. Let me know. You can go right to my website if you'd like. It's laughinglotuswellness.com, and you can click on connect. And what that does is you just send me a quick email and say, hey, this is what I'm interested in. This is where I'm at. I'd love to hear from you anyway, but I want you to tell me about where you are and where you want to go. What's the fear you're sitting with? And then we will find a time. I'll send you my link. We'll get something on the schedule, and we'll sit down, and you and I will have a come to Jesus about where you are, about how fear is sitting in your life. What's blocking you? We'll do some work together, right? Right off the bat, you're going to get to know me. I want clarity around who you are, what you're bringing in. And then we're going to come together to get something moving for you, some momentum, okay? So again, laughinglotuswellness.com, click connect. You can go into my email, send me a message. Hey, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I'm looking for. I'd love to connect. Boom, done. I'll send you the link. So easy, okay? Or direct message me anytime. You can do that as well. Whatever works best for you. But I wanted to drop it here. That's such a beautiful way to connect. It costs you nothing to get on a phone call with me and talk about how we can support you moving in this direction. I promise you're going to take something away. I promise. I've never had a call where we haven't both been super elevated by the end of it and having some kind of direction moving forward. Okay, so I invite you to do that. Okay, until next time, my friends, blessing, love, and light. This is Jen signing off, and I am supporting you here to rise on your path to purpose.